Alright guys, big MMA drama just dropped and there's a lot to unpack today. Jon Jones is firing absolute shots at Daniel Cormier after their time coaching together overseas. Dana White is reacting to talk of a Jones vs Cormier boxing match, and the MMA world is buzzing after Alex Pereira and Tracy Cortez call it quits just days after going public. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start with Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier, because this rivalry somehow keeps finding new life. The two legends recently coached opposite each other on a Russian version of The Ultimate Fighter that was filmed in Thailand, and heading into the show, Jones actually sounded open to burying the hatchet. He talked about competing with Cormier in a different setting and even hinted that maybe, after all these years, they could find some common ground. That idea didn't last long. Once filming wrapped, Jon Jones went scorched earth in an interview with Red Corner MMA, unloading on Cormier in a way that surprised absolutely no one who's followed this rivalry over the years. Jones claimed that Cormier was difficult to work with, accusing him of treating staff poorly, surrounding himself with yes-men, and generally being unpleasant behind the scenes.
This season is against Daniel Cormier. Oh man, what a stuffy, just dickhead Cormier really is. I think if you really get to know Daniel Cormier, he's really not.
Yeah, it was nice.
He's an asshole. He was an asshole. I mean, he didn't really connect with any of the fighters here. He's just an asshole. I tried to make peace with him many times, and he made it very clear that he wants to be enemies for the rest of his life because how lucrative it is. And he's just a, I don't know. There was moments where we got to laugh, you know, but for the most part, he's a dickhead. You know, you look at the way that he treats his staff members. He brought like 10 yes men out with him and literally, go get me my water. Where's my this? Why is that this? It was just, he just bosses guys around, you know. And the times we weren't filming, he wasn't very sociable with the people on set. He's just a dickhead. I think people that really work with him knows that. If I wrestled against Daniel Cormier, it'd be really interesting to see what happened. But the one thing I do know is that I made him cry in front of the world. I took him off of the list of being considered one of the greatest fighters of all time. He'll be even lower in the rankings of the greatest heavyweight of all time because my prospect Gable Steveson is going to be 3 times the champion Daniel Cormier ever was. And so he'll just always be in my shadow one way or another.
But that's where Dana White comes into the picture. During a recent interview with Robbie Fox, Dana was asked about Jones and Cormier coaching against each other on this international TUF-style show, and it turns out, Dana had no idea it even happened. White looked genuinely shocked when he heard that the show was already filmed and that there was even a face-off photo floating around.
How do you feel about Jones and DC doing this show together, internationally? The reality show?
What are they doing?
They did that like Russian Ultimate Fighter type show against each other, coached against each other.
Huh.
You didn't know about that?
It's out?
I believe it's filmed, but it's not out.
Interesting.
There's a face-off photo already. DC's talking about doing a wrestling match or a boxing match against Jones, says that they've agreed to a wrestling match. Have you heard of this?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, this is while you were in Fiji. This was all going down. Craziness.
Interesting.
And that debate got even more interesting when Kamaru Usman weighed in. Speaking on his podcast, Usman pushed back on the idea that Daniel Cormier would simply dominate Jon Jones in a pure wrestling match. Usman acknowledged Cormier's elite wrestling credentials, but made it clear that people seriously underestimate Jon Jones' grappling ability.
You got Jon Jones?
I'm not telling you anything. All I'm saying is, that's the general consensus, and I'm telling you right now, it's not that simple. Because I don't think, because Jon Jones never went to the Division I and had the accolades and all of that, people sleep on just how talented Jon Jones. I believe Jon Jones could have been a multiple-time Division I champion. I believe that. Jon Jones was that good at wrestling. That good. And I've watched Jon Jones decide, I'm gonna wrestle. And when he decided to wrestle, he made people look bad. To where, listen, I'm telling you, this man is just freak athletic talent, and the whole family. You know, John and Arthur, both state champion, New York state champions. You know, I know that's not saying a lot because that's high school, and DC definitely has the international, you know, accolades. But listen, they fought. And yes, I understand that's just fighting, that's MMA. But when it came down to that wrestling exchange, John is no slouch. This ain't gonna be just that easy.
Meanwhile, Dana White also touched on another hot topic, Arman Tsarukyan and the lightweight title picture. When asked why Arman hasn't received a title shot yet, Dana admitted that several factors played a role, including the controversial headbutt against Dan Hooker.
I obviously am not one of these fans, but some fans thought Arman should have been the one to get a 155 title pound shot.
We knew that would happen too.
Of course. Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to not go with him? It did, right?
A lot of things have factored in, you know. Yes.
And then as far
in another corner of the MMA world, former UFC fighter Josh Thompson revealed an interesting story involving Khabib Nurmagomedov. On the Weighing In podcast, Thompson explained that Khabib was extremely upset with him after he had Conor McGregor on his show. According to Thompson, Khabib stopped speaking to him for a long time and only opened up after Thompson directly asked what was wrong.
He was very upset with me. I'll give you this little caveat here, is Khabib was upset with me when I had Conor McGregor on our show. And he didn't talk to me for a while. And I had to reach out to him, like, hey, you haven't returned my call. We ran into it. He's like, brother, he's like, it really upset me that you had him on. And I was like, oh, wow. I didn't know this. He never talked to me about it until I had to approach him. So loyalty is a huge thing. And I've always been a very loyal person. I didn't think he'd be offended by it because I was like, you beat his face in. Like, what is there to talk about? Like you destroyed him. Like, so I didn't think he'd be mad, but he was upset. And as I look back, I'm like, I understand now. He said all these things about your father. He said all these things about you and your religion and your culture and your family and your wife and everything. And then I wrapped my head around that. I was like, all right, cool. I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Switching gears, Islam Makhachev reminded everyone that his skills go far beyond the octagon. A new video surfaced on social media showing Islam hitting an airborne target with ridiculous accuracy, looking more like a trained sniper than a lightweight champion.
Не так. Еще одну. Последний. Ты вот эту вещь зачем взял, Тага? Пожалуйста. Как я кинул, видно?
We also got an update from rising contender Michael Morales, who spoke about his next potential fight. While many fans expected him to be next in line to face Islam Makhachev, Morales revealed that a January fight was discussed but declined by both sides. Instead, he may be looking at a matchup with Jack Della Maddalena next.
El 20-0 que se viene, ojalá sea la oportunidad por el cinturón, que ya estamos en ese tema metidos. No se sabe si peleamos en junio o un poquito antes, dependiendo del rival, pero ya estamos como que avanzando en el tema de pelear ya.
Vi que mencionaste por ahí en alguna entrevista a Jack de la Maddalena. ¿Es algo que tú quieres, que te gustaría o ya es algo que el UFC por ahí te comentó?
Me comentaron una posible pelea contra él, marzo o abril, pero luego salieron con lo de que también querían que yo peleara en enero, pero en enero pues yo no quería pelear tampoco. Simplemente dije que quería las vacaciones, descansar bien. Y muy aparte, pues creo que también le habían propuesto a Makhachev la pelea en enero y tampoco quiso aceptar. Estábamos de acuerdo en eso, en que en enero nadie quería pelear. Pero ahora en junio, julio a lo mejor y sí, y si me dan la pelea contra Magdalena, mejor. Una pelea más de experiencia y si es con Makhachev, también la voy a aceptar. No tengo problema.
Outside of MMA, there was also an emotional moment from boxing superstar Anthony Joshua. He broke his silence following a tragic crash that claimed the lives of two close friends, sharing a heartfelt message on social media about loss, faith, and gratitude. It was a rare, vulnerable post from Joshua that reminded fans there's a human being behind the champion. And finally, the story that completely took over MMA social media, Alex Pereira and Tracy Cortez. Just a week after going public, Pereira announced that the two had mutually decided to split up. Pereira thanked fans for their support and wished Cortez the best, keeping his statement respectful and brief. Reactions poured in across social media, with fans cracking jokes, posting memes, and comparing the breakup to a first-round knockout. Some blamed the sudden public attention, others pointed to awkward viral moments, and some just enjoyed the chaos. Pereira's response? He went jogging in the rain, because of course he did.
Chuva de bênção. Deus é bom o tempo todo. É isso aí, empolgado, motivado, chama!
And that pretty much wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed the update, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, and we'll catch you in the next one.